Hi, Statesmen Nation. Welcome to another week of the Coaches Show. We are here in PAC 210, the Athletic Communications Office, as scheduling conflicts unfortunately forced us to be away from Elmhurst Grill for a week, but we are still here with some great coaches, beginning with Coach Benavidez of the football team. Before we get to talk about him, we'll just quickly recap some of the games that are coming up this weekend. We have football at noon out at Statesmen Community Stadium. It'll be senior day against Culver Stockton, and then later that night on the other side, just adjacent of the press box, we will have the men's soccer team will be taking on Clark in the Hart Championship semifinals at 7 p.m. So busy day. Hopefully the weather won't be as bad as we think it is, but you just never know. It is November and it's finally starting to get cool. But all right, we have again Coach Mark Benavidez of the football team. Coach, I gave you a little idea of what you're getting yourself into, but we're not just going to ask you, hey, what's Culver look like, and let's talk about last week, all this. Let's talk about the bigger picture stuff. So we're at week 9 of the year, and some goods and some bads and all of that. But what'd you learn about this team so far this year?
Yeah, something we kind of knew going into it, not necessarily learned, but a lot of inexperience and a lot of youth. I don't think I've ever had this many 18-year-old kids play in a season before, and which, can be frustrating as a coach, but at the same time, extremely optimistic about the future. For us, obviously, recruiting, that's really how you win football games and getting talented young men. And now a big part for us is simply retention and making sure these guys can continuously develop and push themselves in the offseason and have success. And so that's a big thing, just understanding where we're at, how young we are, and knowing how much room for growth that we've got.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, it's a two-parter here. We'll hit the first part right now. What has been your biggest disappointment or frustration in this year? And then we'll talk about the other side of that.
Yeah, I'd say probably the biggest frustration is just simply not quite being able to end and finish some games how we wanted to. We knew going into the year that we weren't exactly an 11-0, 10-0 football team, but games like Graceland, where we're up in the fourth quarter, Peru State, we're up in the fourth quarter, Baker, I believe it was a one-score game going into the fourth quarter, how close we were. It's very disappointing not finishing those, and that was a big emphasis this offseason, was finishing, because the year prior we had so many close games by a touchdown or less, and so without a doubt that's the most disappointing, but at the same time, you've got to use those as a program and grow and work off of those in the future.
Okay. Well, the other side of the coin, what has been your biggest surprise or your biggest reason for satisfaction this year?
Yeah. Again, a lot of close games. One is simply seeing guys finish and fight when we want that at the end of the game. And again, like I mentioned, just how young we are, the lack of experience at times, and obviously right now it's November, about to be mid-November. There is no true freshman at that point in time. They've had a full season under their belt, but we've had a number of young guys that have come in and contributed and made great plays for us. And so when you look at our 2 deep, especially key positions like defensive line, where we've got one senior and one junior, everybody else is a true freshman. That's extremely exciting as a coach, moving forward, knowing where we're at, knowing the things we're able to accomplish without maybe having some of those older guys at those positions, and excitement for the future. Definitely.
All right, well, you talked about the youth movement, but let's talk now. Let's finish up with talking about the experienced guys, the seniors. It is senior day this Saturday, so let's talk about those guys and what they've meant to the program and all of that.
Yeah, they've meant a tremendous amount to the program, and myself as a coach, obviously myself being here for 19, 20 months, or whatever it's been at this point in time. I believe we're going to have 14 guys walk. Some of those guys have only been here a short time frame. Some have been here their entire career. A guy like Howard Huerta, who from the moment I got here, since that he bought into what we're trying to accomplish, what we're trying to do, was an All-American. Statistically, not quite there this year, but still a huge leader for us, a guy who pretty much unanimous decision to go be a captain for us. Guys like Logan Myers, who have been here again for 5 years now and working their butts off. And, they've seen a lot of downs and they've seen a lot of ups. And, it's going to be extremely important for us to do whatever we can to uplift those guys and get this win this Saturday. On top of those guys, we've got an Oskaloosa guy, Mason Ford, who's seen a lot of ups and downs. Daquan Johnson, another senior, Malcolm Bryan, a guy who's been all across the country, and got to play 2 seasons here. And the big thing for really all those guys is just how bought in they've been to the program these last 2 seasons, and without a doubt, nowhere near where we would want to be. Obviously, as a coach, as a player, you want to win every single game. But we finished our Thursday practices having those seniors talk about heroes in their life, their history, some hardship they've overcome, and I'm extremely proud of how those guys have fought these last 2 years and what they've been able to accomplish and what they're trying to do in terms of helping us build more stuff in the future. And of the 14 guys walking, a number of them want to be coaching in the future. A number of them are going to be still potentially on the sidelines next year as coaches or helping out. And like I said, I can't say it enough how proud I am of those guys and how appreciative I am of how much work they put into the program the last 2 years. And extremely excited to see what the future holds for those guys.
Definitely. Awesome. All right, well, that's going to do it because Coach still got to get ready for another big game this weekend. But once again, out at Statesmen Community Stadium, we will have the Wildcats of Culver Stockton College come into town for Senior Day. So coming early, obviously, to make sure you get a chance to recognize the seniors and cheer them on and everything. But I would think bring your parka as well as any umbrellas, etc. Because it's going to be cold and wet, but it'll be great football weather, I'm sure. So
absolutely,
right. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. When we come back, we'll have our next coach on the Coaches Show. Welcome back to the Coaches Show. We're now sitting down with Coach John Henry of the men's basketball team. Coach, we're 3 games in. Let's talk about what you've learned about your team through the first 3 games.
Oh, that's a great question. We're scrappy, for lack of a better word. We do hustle, we do fly around. Offensively challenged so far. Still defining roles, getting guys off of injury. We still have one young man still going through compliance even. So whoever's in uniform is playing, and that's pretty much where we're at right now. I like our start. We won a couple of games. It's better to win or learn by winning rather than just lose all 3. But I like where we're at. I like where I think we're headed, and it's been fun so far.
Yeah. Speaking of fun, I know I've seen you guys in practice. I've been watching a younger version of you. Hopefully not a younger version of you, but a younger coach on the sideline. Watching you and learning, but coming to practice a little bit more, and you're getting on the guys, which is Coach Henry style. But in regards to that, I feel like I've seen a softer Coach Henry out there, one that's very much enjoying being out there. So how much are you enjoying? Well, okay, maybe not softer, but I feel like you're enjoying being out there.
I am personally. I mean, it's strange you want to ask me about my own emotions because I don't really like to talk about that, or I'll start crying or something goofy like that. But it is fun. I'm having a good time. And I think my whole staff is having a good time, even when it looks or appears like we're not. If we're barking or whatever, that's part of the interaction too. It was intense. Specifically, yesterday was very intense, coming off of a loss to Northwestern, where we were proud of our battle, but that wasn't what we went there for. We didn't go to battle. We went to win, and getting that point across. We're not going to be pleased with anything less than 1 more point on the scoreboard. But it is fun. I'm having a good time, and this is a good group to work with. Even the challenges that come along with an entirely new group, is very challenging and gratifying. Yes, to answer your question, yes, I'm enjoying myself.
There you go.
I don't know about softer or anything like that, but every group and every individual is different, and how you handle that specific group and how you handle even each individual is different. And we have a very solid staff that daily talks about the emotions and how to handle one kid versus another, or one group versus another, and what we did in the past and what we're doing now, and adapting to not only individuals in a new group but the world. And that's important to say is the world is different. How I interacted or coached, or how my staff interacted or coached in 2004 is not the same as 24. And that's part of the fun too, is figuring that all out. So yes, I'm enjoying it.
Sure. All right. You basically answered the backside of that, so we're just going to go to the next one. You talked about the newcomers and just so many new personalities, et cetera, that haven't been around you enough and haven't been around the program to know exactly the William Penn way. So how important has it been for your returners to step up early on this season and help foster and foster that culture?
Well, there's only really 3 of them: Justin Bradley, Marcellus Bryant, and Manny Hammonds. And if you add in Naka, and I'm going to butcher his last name, so I'll just call him
Naka.
Naka. He knows who he is, and everybody knows who he is. He redshirted last year, so I guess he's a returner. Mm-hmm. Marcellus and Justin played minimal at times, sometimes a lot, sometimes a little. Manny played a lot. Those guys are being called on for leadership for what they're capable of, is a good way to put it. Like, you can't force leadership on somebody. And I don't believe that everyone is truly, I'm not going to get in philosophy of all coaching or anything, but not everyone is truly capable of being an all-out leader. Mm-hmm. They can lead in different ways in different directions. I would say thus far we don't necessarily have an all-out team leader, and that's fine. I've had other teams that are like that too. But that leadership's got to come within the group somewhere, whether it be the whole group or the coaching staff or something, and we're still figuring that out. But those 3 guys have been influential in the early part of the success and the development of this group in their actions and in their words, but just differently. A lot of people think that in a leader, it's got to be somebody who steps up every day and barks and says the right things and motivates and all that. They're not that type of kids, but they do it in different ways. So that I hope answers the question in a very strange way.
Well, and seeing something last night in practice where you guys were at the end and there were some people struggling with some sprints, and everybody came together as a team and said, "We're going to run this as a team." And you said, "That's fine. You're going to run it as a team to make up for whatever and to hopefully lead. But then you guys are going to do it as a team. You're going to succeed as a team, or you're going to fail as a team." So that was kind of a cool moment that everybody wanted to step up. Talk about that for a second.
Well, I will. And it's funny that you bring that up. And if this were, the format that we've had in the past, I'd have all these people laughing because I'd tell a joke about you being why you're at our practice. Wade has access into our practice as he did last night, and it was probably the practice of the year, maybe for the entire season last night. And the reason why is there's a young man named Wyatt, Wade Steinlager's son, Coach Wyatt, as he's known, is on our staff. He's the only 6th grader in the country on a varsity basketball staff of a 4-year school. And he had a big night last night with the cones and the basketballs for my specific drill. But Dad comes walking in at a peculiar time to see a motivational moment, which was pretty cool. We had some guys, like he said, that were struggling with some sprints at the end, and we're really on our guys right now about conditioning. I would go so far as to say, and I don't mind saying this on camera, they know, we don't really have too much to hide, that we're struggling with conditioning on this team, and we play fast, and we're not allowed to play the way specifically that we've played in the past because our guys are not in tip-top shape. Mm-hmm. For whatever reason, body types, whatever. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but we're not where we need to be in that regard, and it's holding us back. So we added a little more conditioning, a little more toughness, a little more physical this week to try and move forward in that regard. And our SID just happens to walk in. Keep in mind, he's an assistant athletic director too. He walks into our practice, and it's pretty live, for lack of a better term. And some guys were motivating other guys, and it was a cool setting, and that's how we ended. But yeah, Coach Wyatt had a big day yesterday, and then that's a neat thing. And we don't necessarily close the doors for anybody for our practice. If somebody wants to come in and watch practice, I prefer that they ask if they don't have all access like Wade does. But parents, anybody can come in. Even students, if they ask me ahead of time, they can come in and watch practice too. But you just got to be quiet and know your role and whatnot. But I've never told anybody no unless there was a specific issue. Yep. So the Steinlagers do have to pick up Coach White because he does not have a driver's license. So that's and that's a requirement on my staff. I just thought of that. So we're gonna have to talk to him about that.
He can ride his bike. He'll be fine.
Yeah, it's going to get cold here pretty soon.
There you go. All right. Okay, final thing. Now we can talk about more pinpointed things, but let's talk about.
That's important though, man. He's got stuff he's got to get done.
Yeah,
So.
that's right. That's right. All right. What are you hoping to see from the team as we knocked out the non-conference games. We're getting ready for Mount Mercy and the Hart schedule. What are you looking forward to seeing in the team next week and then moving forward?
Wow. Moving forward, with the 2 home games, conference home games to start off with, I'd really like to get them and get this team some confidence. It's going to be tough, getting a team, and this is specific to the Heart of America, and I wish we had 4 or 5 other Heart of America coaches to answer this question, how you motivate a team for 24 games over the course of 4 months has just been a mystery to me, and we've been very successful doing it. The first time I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, and we won the league, several years in a row, and it's tough, but you really got to get your home games, steal some on the road to put yourself in a position to even be in the top 5. So those home games are very important. I'd like to get some success for this group early on, and I think that would, snowball into, some more success, and it can go either way.
Yeah.
But we're going to press on, regardless, and just see what comes our way. Very coach speak and very coach cliche right there. I hate when I do that because I hate watching interviews where people say that stuff. But it really, as goofy as it sounds, it really is true. Like, with an entire 13 new guys, I mean, next week could be entirely different roles at this point for every player. We add that player that's not in the mix right now. It changes everybody's minutes, everybody's roles. Who's playing well, who's not. It just changes the dynamics of everything and what we're doing X and O's wise. But we've never been a program that too much worried about the X's and O's. We worry about the Jimmys and Joes. There goes another terrible cliche.
Yeah, but that's yours. I'm sure somebody else has said it, but I really want to hear it from you. It's a Henry cliche.
Right.
1
or 100, right?
Right.
So, there you go.
There you go. All right, we're going to close it up here. Coach Henry and the Statesmen will be at home next Wednesday, hosting Mount Mercy at 7:30 p.m., part of a women's men's doubleheader. Start opening up the Hart season, 24 games for the Hart season. So, it's going to be a long one, but go ahead, Coach Henry.
I want to interrupt real quick.
Yeah.
The Mount Mercy game Wednesday night. Let's pack the arena. I thought the crowd at our first home game was excellent, but let's really take it to another level for Mount Mercy at home. Been a rivalry for a long time. It's a Wednesday night. Please come on out and see what the new look Statesman looks like. I think you'll enjoy how they get all over the place.
Yeah, for sure. All right, thanks, Coach. When we come back, we'll have another coach on the Coaches Show. Welcome back to the Coaches Show. We're now sitting down with head cross-country coach Caleb Drake as we're getting ready for the big meet of the year, Coach, the Hart Championship this Saturday. We're up in Cedar Rapids, but I guess as we're getting ready to talk about that, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, let's just kind of recap this year in general, just talk about what have you seen from this team that has been, I guess, both the good and the bad.
Are we talking men's or women's?
Both.
Okay.
Just kind of
Men's,
compare. Let's
women's.
talk about
Let's talk
the
okay.
whole program, yes.
Yeah, I think, and to be honest with you, sitting here, it doesn't really feel like conference week, and I think that's a really positive thing. We're not, I'm not nervous. The team doesn't feel that nervous. We're in good spirits, and I think that's the main takeaway, I think, for this week. But, yeah, it's been a progression, I think, for the season up to this point. There's been, the one thing I'll say, like on the men's side, for instance, we have not put a complete race together is what I would call it. So we're still searching for that, and it's a great time of year to be doing so, because if we do it on Saturday, then we will look the best we've looked all year. And on the women's side, we have scored once, and we add 2 more people who are going to even help our score. So I don't even know where that puts us, which is kind of fun too. So in that way, we just kind of have 2 little wild card pieces going into Saturday. But it's been a great season. There's been a lot of work put in the off season, in the summertime leading up to that. The culture has been really good, and so that we have a lot of fun, at practice and in the work. We had our last workout of the season yesterday, and it was just fun. It's been a good time. It's been a great season for us. So I'm excited to see how they cap it off.
Sure. What's been a surprise this year?
honestly, I don't know if a lot has surprised me, to be honest. I think that I would say that the culture's been our main theme or focal point for the last couple of years, and it really feels like it's been established this year. Like D'Artagnan, for instance, he's in amazing shape, and I've talked to many other colleagues, and we're like, hey, he looks like somebody who's going to have a chance to put himself in a position to potentially be an All-American in cross country, and so yeah, that's exciting. I mean, would I say I'm surprised by it? No, I mean he works hard and he's gifted, and you put those two things together, and it's a dangerous recipe for success. So that's been really, really great. And even on the women's side, the ladies have worked hard, and we've had a lot of PRs, and the belief behind that and the growth from it has been amazing. So we have that a lot across the team. So
sure. All right, well, talking about this weekend then, expectations. I know you already kind of said it, but I guess we don't know where we're going to land. But what are you expecting from the team in regards to just the effort and everything?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on the women's side, so that there is rankings in our conference. Some of that is tough because it's not like a record, right? Like if you have other sports, we don't have a win-loss column. So a lot of it is speculation for when those ratings happen. So for us, it's like, well, maybe these teams are ranked here or there or somewhere else. We can get a good idea from races that we maybe see other teams at. But really, if a team never faces head-to-head and they're close, it could be 2 or 3 spots off. So expectations on the women's side, I think we're going to finish above what we're ranked going into the conference meet. And it could be significant, it could be 1 spot, I don't know. But that's what's going to be fun about that for them. I also expect us to run our best across the board. I think training-wise, it's the nice thing about running is when you do put in the work throughout the season and you start to pull some of that work back, your body feels more refreshed. And so I expect for that to go well, especially given the flat course that we're running on. And on the men's side, I would say it this way: there's 4 teams that could win on Saturday, and we're one of the 4. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's really going to whatever team has their best day is going to be the team that wins. I don't know if it's been this way ever or a very, very long time in our conference, which is really exciting. It makes it very competitive. I'll say this: I think for our team, if we have our best day, we'll be tough to beat. And so that's something that I guess it would be an expectation for us to run our best and to run well.
Sure. All right, I guess this last question is more probably geared towards the men's side, but how much has the success over the last 2 years helped with future success and in regards to building something very long term?
We have a lot of people we've been talking to this year, recruiting wise. However, I think that has been this success piece. A Drake Relays title in the track side of things. We're in a team that's in that mix now, 2 years in a row, and hopefully that continues. I think that's a great measure. It's a good symptom of what the team is as far as the culture goes, and that's really the first and the forefront thing that we talk about a lot when I talk to people about our team. The young men and young women that are on the team, they're good people, and they have good values and morals, and they go to class, and they like to spend time together, and they're a light to this campus, and I think the community as well. We even did last Friday as a team, we all met up at Walmart, and we filled 7 or 8 shoe boxes for Operation Christmas Child as a team. And we're able to just, go there and even talk to the people at the checkout, like, hey, what are you guys doing? Like, what is it? What are the world all these young people? And, it was like, hey, we're doing Operation Christmas Child. And so just that piece to me, I think, is something that is going to continue to be magnetic for those that would like to join our program. And hopefully the symptoms continue that we are disciplined and because of that culture, and that might lead to success.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. Once again, Coach Caleb Drake of the cross-country teams, the Statesmen will be up in Cedar Rapids this Saturday morning for the Heart Championship, Seminole Valley area course.
It's called, what is it called? I think it's called the Seminole Valley.
Yeah, because that's what the other meet's called. But either way, up there in that Cedar Rapids area. So, but yeah, best of luck, Coach. Let's see how many people we can send to nationals, maybe a full team, all of that. So it's best of luck.
Thank you.
Right. When we come back, we will have one more coach on the Coaches Show. Welcome back to the Coaches Show. We are now sitting down with Simon Brown, the head men's soccer coach here at William Penn, fresh off of a win over Mount Mercy last night in the Hart quarterfinals, a shootout, a wild one, Coach. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about it in a little bit here, but bigger picture stuff here as we're winding down the season. it's been a mostly very up year. Obviously, a program record, number 5 ranking. We're now at 14 wins. Just been a great year, but we've had a couple dips, obviously, along the way.
Yep.
How much can you attribute to that happening, to just the grind of playing in the heart, game in, game out, or is there something else that has maybe happened? It's like, all right, we could have foreseen that, maybe we could have done something, or is it again just playing tough teams every single game and it's hard to win every single game?
Yeah, I've thought about it. I'm trying to point it towards everything we're going through is new.
Yeah.
We've never been this highly ranked, this high of a record, this many wins in conference, for coaches and for players. So again, it's all new. Like we're only here a couple of years. Like I've been at different programs, but for here everything is new, and we're all going through this together. So I think that's the kind of learning curve that we're going through, where you may see like dip in performance, but I honestly think this is the first year where we've been absolutely respected by everybody in conference. In years past, they may be like, oh, they have a ugly style, like we're just going to play our game and we can run teams over. But now, like you see, like a Mount Mercy coming here with 7 players behind the ball, tough to break down. Benedictine, 6-7 players behind the ball all the time, tough to break down. And we never got that in the past, because maybe we weren't as good. But I think this is the first year where like everyone's kind of respected us. So it's onus is on us to go out and win the games, with the pressure of being highly ranked, being the number 2 seed in conference. We know we're going to a national tournament in a couple of weeks, so again, all that pressure's on us, and other teams want what we have. So again, they're always going to give us our best. So that's the 2 things that I put it down to, like the intangibles. But yeah, like I said, we don't want to change too much. We're giving ourselves like backup plans more than anything in training. But again, we don't want to change too much. We're just kind of adapting to the opposition because they've changed so much for us. There's so many players behind the ball and we're getting fewer chances. And even last night, with being so defensive against Mount Mercy, we had 20 shots,
right,
which is more than our average, is right around 16. So we don't want to be in a position where you're constantly chipping and changing because you're not working on in training, and it just makes it more complicated for the kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. All right, let's talk about last night. The resiliency of the team. Even though you had the lead, and they bounced back, though, you guys had to finish. You had to dig deep. You had to figure out how to actually win this game when conceivably there were a lot of chips up against you. I mean, when you put it in the shootout, anything can happen there. But when it came down to it, the cream rose to the top. You had big shooters and you had a big moment by Sean. So just talk about how proud you were of the team last night.
Yeah, I mean, like, just winning a playoff game is all you really, like, just get through it no matter what. As I said to the guys, like, we have a little tactics board and we put like positions and stuff on there, and then when I went to the second one I just threw it away. I was like, it doesn't, like, there's nothing more I can tell you than kicking the ball in the goal that we're already doing. Like, we know they're not changing. They're going 7 at the back. Their keeper was slowing it down to try take it to PKs, which I don't know why you would with Sean in goal. It didn't make sense to me, but they may have thought that they saw something that we didn't, but we were the one pushing for the goal in extra time. But again, to come out like that, it's a huge momentum booster going into which will be a tough semi-final on Saturday against a Clark team who won in overtime as well, so they're buzzing. But yeah, just to win the game was everything, especially after, like, you don't want to look back too much in the past, but that was the exact game last year.
Exactly,
it was the 2-7 game against Mount Mercy. They played the exact same way. They just came to defend and try knock us off, and they did last year. And we've been training for that because we know that's what they're going to do. And like I said, it didn't work last night, and another night it does for them. But again, we scored the goals to win the game, and it was a really, really poor defensive moment at the end from us to let them back into the game when we were chipping away and trying to score. Because I don't know if they were going to push and try to get a goal. It just looked like they were trying to get us on the counter. So, proud of the guys, the way they come through. Like, a big moment from Sean. Like, this is why you have All-Americans and big players. Like, they need to step up in the biggest moments. You know, your quote-unquote better players are the ones that have to stand out. Mm-hmm. And most of the guys that scored PKs were all-conference kids for us who got a bit of recognition throughout the year, had good games. And then Sean, obviously, he's going to be an All-American again this year, and like that's what you need. You know, you need your bigger players to turn up, because I can only coach so much, and I'm not out there in that moment. So it's important. It was important for the team, for the program, for momentum going into the semi-final and then hopefully the postseason NAI tournament.
Definitely. All right, well, you obviously read off my sheet because I was going to ask, why did you pick those guys to shoot? And how proud are you of Sean and all that? And you already answered it, so we'll just jump ahead. All right, and you pretty much said how much confidence you have in Sean. You're like, this is why we
Trying to
have
make
him
a quick
there.
interview
We
here.
know, yeah, exactly. You're trying to make it very quick. All right, well, let's jump to the final question then.
Yeah.
All right, talking about Clark, I know you have a ton of respect for Coach Pay up there. You guys are good friends and everything. But what are you expecting of that contest? And then just, I guess, looking at the Final Four teams, Baker was a small upset over Mid-Am 5-4, but, you got 4 really, really quality teams there that are going to represent the Heart here on Saturday and next Tuesday, or next year, Wednesday, excuse me. So what are you expecting from the team and from the final couple games?
I don't really know much about Baker and Mo Valley are going to kick off at the same time as us. So like whoever we get, we get. We just have to focus on Clark. Like, it's the main thing because they're very good. They're really good this year. They have the offensive MVP in the conference. Has scored 20 goals this year, 15 goals in conference, which is incredible. And they describe themselves as an offensive-minded team. They average right around 20 shots a game, which is more than us. They've scored a ton of goals. So I don't want to guarantee there'll be goals on Saturday, but if you look at the two stats of the two teams, like we come out firing, like we have 20 shots. We've had 20 shots in each of our last 2 games. Throughout the season, we average 16, 17 shots. Clark come out firing. They're always right around 20 shots. So both teams are trying to score goals, which is what the student athletes here that may not know soccer as much, like they don't want to come for a 0-0 game.
The lay fan is going to be like, I want to go and I want to see goals. I don't want to just watch a 0-0 and it goes to PKs. And PKs are super exciting.
Right.
It was a lot of fun last night, but yeah, people want to see goals.
No, they want to see, and they want to see goals, and like it will be 2 heavyweights throwing digs at each other, which is what I think people want to see, because I think Clark is in a position where they're probably in the tournament as well. So the 2 of us really have nothing to lose, So again, we're just going out to try and make a final, and whatever happens in the other game happens in the other game. So again, I want to promise an exciting game, but I don't want to stick my foot in as well.
The weather could throw in and be like, it could be just a sloggy mess, and it could not.
Yeah, no, like it looks like it's going to rain too.
Which we got some of that last night. It wasn't rainy, but it was just wet from the last few days. So
No, but I think
we're ready for that.
I think you'll get a good game, and I think Mikey won't want to come here and give anything but a top performance for his team and try win it and make a final. They've never won a playoff game before, let alone get into a final. So I know how important it is for him, but the same thing for us. Like I gotta respect my guys. Like they want to win a trophy. We're 2 games away from doing that, but again, we got to get through a big test on Saturday with Clark, and then whatever happens in the final happens in the final. But we got to put ourselves in a position to get there. I'm never going to look past Clark and not respect them. So again, it should be a good game. Hopefully, we get a similar crowd to what we had last night. It made a big difference. Yep,
definitely. Awesome. All right. Once again, Simon Brown of the men's soccer team. They will be taking on Clark, 7 p.m. start at Ross Field on Saturday. Totally get prepared for a wet one, a cold one. It was nippy last night, and it's probably going to be the same on Saturday. But it's going to be a fun contest against the Pride. And then prior to that, once again on Saturday, we will have Senior Day for the football team against Culver Stockton on Statesmen Community Stadium. Noon starts. We'll get there a little early to cheer on the seniors as well. So a busy day over at the Lacey Rec Complex. But that'll do it for us this week on the Coaches Show. Thanks again to all of our coaches. Thanks to on behind the scenes for AJ Helgeson doing a great job producing this as well. So until next time, go Statesmen.